Central Bank of Nigeria set for a rollover of treasury bills worth 153.9 billion naira as stopped rates rise. Electricity subsidy: federal government spent 36 billion naira in 3 months, says Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. Asian markets largely rise ahead of China trade data. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Let's bring you up to speed with business development. There are expectations that the stop rates of issuance will rise following recent signals from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to roll over maturing treasury bills worth 153.9 billion naira via the primary market. The T-bills are 91-day bills worth 4.52 billion naira, 182-day bills worth 1.31 billion naira, and 364-day bills worth 148.15 billion naira. Last week, system liquidity closed at 277.8 billion naira, 52.4% lower than prior week's level as liquidity remains suppressed. Now, the backdrop of rising interest rates and foreign exchange scarcity, leading consumer goods manufacturing companies have come under severe funding pressure. Findings from the financial statements of the companies show that they have resorted to very expensive bank borrowings to sustain their businesses, increasing their exposure to the banks to 1.834 trillion naira in the first half of the year 2023, a 24.5% increase against 1.473 trillion naira in the corresponding period of 2022. Now, how much is the naira exchanging for other currencies? Let's find out. Now, manufacturers under the aegis of the Nigerian Textile Employees Association says smuggling of textile products through Nigeria's land borders has led to the collapse of over 150 textile companies in the last 40 years. Director General of the association, Hama Kwajafa, who disclosed this, noted that the closure of the Niger border, which had left several trucks of textile products stranded on the border, was evidence that inferior textile products had been entering the country at the expense of the local textile industry. He added that in 1980, Nigeria had about 180 textile firms in operation, but had less than 24 functional mills today. Now, economic watchers continue to welcome the president's plan to strengthen the manufacturing sector by investing 75 billion naira, targeting 75 enterprises. One sector that needs that injection of funds, which will create jobs and add value to the society, is textile industry. The textile industry used to be Nigeria's largest employer and has long been a vital component in the country's manufacturing sector, but not anymore. To talk more about reviving the textile industry is Director General, Nigerian Textile Manufacturers Association, Hama Ali Kwajafa. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much, Mara Bakar.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's begin our discussion
Yes.
at the Niger border, where there are trucks carrying textile materials waiting to be allowed into the country. Tell us, how is this affecting textile production in the country?
Thank you very much. This is what we've been crying out for a long time, but with these trucks now, about 100 of them line up, it's an eye-opener that actually that has been the cause of the closure of most of Nigerian textiles. Because Niger hardly has any textile mill, but this load definitely Niger is being used as a conduit pipe to bring in textile fabrics. What they do is to take our design, take it to China, and bring it back to our markets and sell it cheaper. You can imagine they sell like 5 yards at 1,000 naira, which none of our manufacturers can. So actually what we are saying is that anybody that wants to import anything into this country must go through the ports, because the borders hardly has any good check by the customs, and they evade levy. Because of the levy now, they can bring it into our country and sell it cheaper than what we have. Government tries to do that by placing levy on head so that they don't come in and take over our markets and our jobs. We are giving jobs to other countries while we are suffering lack of employment in our country. And we keep our youth idle to the extent that they have no sustainable job. They graduate from university and they still go back to their houses. And you know, idle man is devil's workshop. So if you continue keeping people at home and no employment, they are a danger to the security of this country. That's why we don't know how many people are into Boko Haram, how many people are into banditry, how many people are in kidnapping. So we must ensure that our youth are employable. This present administration of Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Now, before we talk about the present administration, the sanction looks like a temporary arrangement. Let me ask you this question. Do we even have the capacity? Do we have what it takes to meet local demand? If we can, how can we make it better and more competitive?
Thank you. Thank you. We have what it takes to meet local demand. You know, we thank the government. They have done their best to improve on our machineries, from obsolete machineries to even first-class high-flying machineries now, were highly technology compliant, because the government has given invested in the industry of 100 billion naira. But then we have the tool to produce quantity and quality goods. But as at the time we're finishing, to be able to produce enough for the country, substandard goods flood the markets and taking over all our markets. Look at Bologo market, Kantin Kori, Kaduna markets, Wanisha markets. All these trucks are going there. That is why they fill our markets and sell substandard. So the retooling has not helped us. When I say government has not invested money, they are putting money in textiles very well to retool our machinery. We have done that, but then the market is not available again. And you know what is infrastructure we are talking about is that we should have enough infrastructure in this country to be able to compete. Because the problem is competition. If we are not competing, our production costs, our overhead will continue to be higher. So if Uganda, for instance, Uganda is a poor country, but they are selling electricity to their manufacturing concerns at 4 cents per kilowatt hour. South Africa is doing the same. Ethiopia is doing the same. Government has to defray these costs so that we can compete with other countries. If those costs are not defrayed, our costs will continue to be higher and we cannot sell.
Now, let me come in. Why is it difficult to achieve reviving the old days where the textile and garment industries are flourishing? Why is it so difficult? Because previous government have tried, but we have to really see the results.
The government has tried, but the trial is not enough because we have to benchmark countries so that we can be a level playing ground with the countries we are doing business with. Ethiopia used to have only 2 textiles in the 80s and 70s. Now they have up to 200 textile mills because of intervention of government by providing enabling environment. That enabling environment is key. Return of machineries are different, but for you to go to energy, 40% of our cost goes to energy. You can see when Kaduna refinery was there, they were supplying black oil, which is low power fuel oil, to Kaduna and Kano environs. Today now, the Kaduna refinery is not working, so they don't have that alternative to electricity. Mostly, we have we may have only 8 hours of electricity. So we must go to alternative when electricity is taken off. We have about 3 shifts, that's 24 hours. So we must use the alternative fuel, whatever is available, whether gas or black oil, so that something can be done, so that production can continue.
What are those things that can be done? What are those things that can be done?
The diesel and black oil should be at comparative prices, and electricity. They all should be at comparative prices with, say, Ethiopia, Europe, South Africa, even Kenya, Cairo. All these must have even electricity tariff, at least for industry. There will be special supply for industry. These people create special parks, textile parks, for instance, and give them adequate power and at level playing ground with the price to other countries. That's why Europe can come and buy at Ethiopia, because the price of tariff and electricity is the same. And therefore they produce at the same rate and prices are the same, quality is the same. So Europeans can come to Ethiopia and book for their products, book for textiles. You find out that many countries are depending on these textile and garments. They don't have crude. Bangladesh, that's what they depend on. They depend on textile and garments. This is an area where government will have to look into it, so that they really encourage non-oil business. Oil can finish anytime. We have to go into non-oil business and try to support those non-oil businesses to be able to export and sell also locally. Now our markets locally even has been taken when they bring inferior substandard goods at low prices.
Okay, now there was this partnership between your industry and the CBN. Where are we on that?
Yes, thank you very much. That's the beginning. That's why we have all these issues. There was a headline that CBN was to revive textiles. But what we have seen is that they have sunk enough into cotton, this value chain. So they started with cotton and stopped midway. They couldn't finish with the ginneries and the textile. What they did was to give a working capital, and that is not revival of moribund textile. We expect the CBN to go far beyond just working capital, but to revive the moribund textile mills, so that they'll be able to come back and compete. Because our dollar is fluctuating, because we are not exporting. We are a consumer nation. Consumer of the highest order, to the extent that toothpick handkerchiefs, we can't produce them. So we rely a lot on foreign products, to the extent that our dollar now cannot match. As long as we don't engage in exporting and getting dollar back, we'll have issues with our foreign exchange. So we need to really develop this side, contribute slightly to exports, so that you can compete with the Committee of Nations and be able to trade in dollars.
Okay,
And that's only we can
this
have
is
level
a
playing
new,
ground.
what we have today is a new administration with a quest to push for revival of the industry. What do you make of the president's economic plan to invest billions of naira to the manufacturing sector?
Yeah, it's still a plan. It's a plan, but it's very good. It's on the right foot. They are doing very well. These things are teaching programs, and they will really, with time, maybe be able to subsidize. But then, what we are asking is that there must be enough export to be able to balance up with the naira dollar exchange. So if we don't export, we rely mostly on imports. We import champagne more than France, more than America. We are second highest importer of champagne in this country. So we like luxury goods, and therefore that's how our dollar can never match up to the level we were in 1980. There was a time even the naira was stronger than the dollar. So we need to go back to those times, encourage export.
That means
The
scaling
NEPC
up
must be
production,
encouraged.
not just for local consumption, but exporting.
Yes, exporting, exactly. This is why many countries are able to do that.
So
The
what would you
Exporters
like to see this
Association of India,
administration do to revive the textile industry?
yes, that's the only way if we stop smuggling like that one. If we have just 3% access even to our markets and reduce smuggling to 30%, we'll be able to survive. But that's why government of former President Muhammad Buhari brought in an executive order 003 to ensure that all military uniforms are done in Nigeria. The school uniforms, the bedsheet, blankets. We have two blanket companies. We have Tapolin. All these IDPs, they're not buying from our companies. We have Tapolin in Zaria. We have blankets in Kaduna and Kano. They're big companies that can supply all these paramilitary, all those schools, all the correction centers. Anywhere they have boarding houses, they use blankets and mattresses. So why can't they patronize our blanket companies and be able to revive those companies? The problem is market now. They have revived retooled the machineries. So the most important thing is
Okay.
for patronage.
Okay, I'm afraid
Once we
we
patronize
have
this
to
person, because
put a pause there.
NYSC, customs,
Uh,
immigration, all paramilitary can buy our uniforms. That's the
okay,
next level the
okay.
CBN was to go with us. But
Uh,
CBN stopped at midway.
okay, I'm
CBN stopped at
afraid we
midway.
have to leave it there.
They couldn't complete all those things.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Mr. Hamad Kwajafa. Thank you for sharing your thought with us.
Thank you, Madam Bakar. These are things we need to do, the ABC of to-dos in this country, so that textile can be revived. It's
Okay, we'll
patronage.
continue the conversation. Now moving on, let's take a trip to the global commodities market. Now let's talk about this. The Food and Agriculture Organization says index of global commodity prices rose 1.3% during July, its second increase since April, reflecting the termination of the Black Sea Grain Initiative and India's restriction on rice exports. The increases punctuated a longer-term decline in commodity prices in the past year. The upturn in the food price index was led by a solid rise in the vegetable oil index of 12% during July. It is the first increase in vegetable oil prices after 7 months of declines. The four other components of the index, grains, dairy, meat, and sugar, were down from the previous month. Now, oil prices rose in early trade on Tuesday as supply concerns arising from production cuts by Saudi Arabia and Russia supported the market. Brent crude futures rose 37 cents to $85.71 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was at $82.37 a barrel, up 43 cents. Both the contracts had settled around 1% lower in the previous trading session as investors brace for weaker demand from the world's two biggest economies, China and the United States. And now to capital market. Equities market closed positive on the first weekday of trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The all-share index climbed 0.21% at 65,336.80 points, a total of 334 million shares in 6,940 deals, corresponding to a market value of 3.8 billion were traded. Yesterday's data shows 8% decline in volume, 36% decline in turnover, but 4% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 35.6 trillion naira. Next is global market update.
Asia-Pacific markets were mixed on Tuesday as China's July trade came in lower than expected. China saw a 14.5% year-on-year drop in exports, while imports came in 12.4% lower year-on-year. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index slipped 1.76%. The Shanghai Composite ticked down 0.25%, while Japan's Nikkei 225 rose 0.38% to take its winning streak to 3 days and end at 32,377.29. European markets pulled back slightly on Tuesday morning as investors await significant inflation data due later this week. The DAX declined 0.24%, UK's FTSE 0.13%, and the French CAC 0.2%. Overnight in the US, all three major indices gained as investors continue to digest better than expected earnings results, while African markets opened mixed this Tuesday.
Thank you, Neka. This is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. Business Express returns Wednesday at 3 p.m. Thanks for your company.